Hello everybody, how you doing? This is Mr. Dowse. This is going to be first of several videos I'm going to have going over the polynomial study guide. This is for Unit 7. I'm not going to do all problems, but I'm going to do some of the more trickier problems or problems that we haven't seen in a while. So I'm just going to get started, and I'm going to work on problem number 3. So the first 3 problems are over adding and subtracting polynomials. This is from lesson 7.2. So if you have questions on this, you can go to the notes or watch the video on lesson 7.2. This problem number 3 says the area of a square is 6x squared plus 3x minus 5, and the area of the circle is 5x squared plus 4x minus 7. Write an expression to represent the area of the gray region. And so basically we have a square, and this square here has an area of 6x squared plus 3x minus 5. And then this circle here has an area of 5x squared plus 4x minus 7. And so what we need to do here is we need to find the area of basically the shaded region by comparing these numbers. Now notice that the circle is being punched out of the circle. So what we're going to do here is we're going to subtract the area of this circle from the area of the square. So you can think of it like this. The area of the shaded region is equal to the area of the square minus the area of the circle. And this is very popular to do in geometry, by the way. So you'll see problems like this next year. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write down the area of the square. That's the 6x squared plus 3x minus 5. I'm going to put that in parentheses. And we're going to subtract the area of the circle, which is 5x squared plus 4x minus 7. And so I'm putting these in parentheses here because that's how we typically group the polynomials when we're adding or subtracting. So the idea is I'm going to subtract the values on the right from the values on the left. And so when we have a subtraction sign, we need to imagine there's a negative 1 in here, and I'm going to multiply the negative 1 into the parentheses. And of the problems that people are going to struggle on the most with adding and subtracting, it's going to be problems like this, because they're going to forget to distribute the negative 1 into all of the parentheses. Or all the terms in the set of the parentheses here. So what's negative 1 times a positive 5x squared? Well, that's a negative 5x squared. What's a negative 1 times 4x? That's a negative 4x. And then what's a negative 1 times a negative 7? Well, that's a positive 7. So what happened here is the signs flipped. Again, this is for every single of the terms inside the parentheses here. So it went from a positive to a negative to a negative, negative to a positive. And then everything on the left side here stays the same because it wasn't altered at all. And so the idea here is we want to make sure that when we do the math here, we're going to compare like terms here. And so I'm going to have 6x squared minus 5x squared. Well, that's 1x squared, or just x squared. We don't need the 1. We have the plus 3 minus 4x. Well, 3 minus 4 is a negative 1x, or just negative x. And then we have this negative 5 plus 7. Well, 7 minus 5 is plus 2. And this is our area of the shaded region right here. Now, I'm going to point out, if you have a hard time with the math here, please go to Desmos and do the math. Don't just do mental. Be careful here. Make sure you check your answers using Desmos if you're not certain about the math. I'm going to jump down and look at problem number 4. We did this, by the way, a few weeks ago when we reviewed for the CFA a few weeks back. So you should recognize this problem. And you might have already solved this earlier, but we've done this problem before in class. So what we have here is we have 3w, and we're multiplying it by the 2w plus 12. I know it's multiplying because there's no addition or subtraction right here. So I'm going to distribute 3w into the parentheses. And I would get, 3 times 24 is 72. And then w times w is w squared. And then 3 times 12 is 36. It's a plus 36 because it's a positive times a positive. And then between these two, when we multiply, there's 1w. So we get 1w here. And so the answer on this one is 72w, which is either this one or this one. It says plus 36w, which is this one. So the answer here is D. And some of you might have preferred an alternative way of doing this, which is we set up using this graphic organizer, 3w times 24w plus 12. And again, we get the same thing. 3 times 24, or sorry, Yeah. Oh, no, I'm doing this backwards. Sorry. I haven't done this problem in a while like this. I had a brain fart, sorry. So I put 3W here. I put the 24W and the plus 12 here. Because again, we're multiplying these. And so when we multiply, the answer is going to go in here. The product's going to go in here. So 3 times 24 is 72. W times W is W squared. And then 3 times 12 is 36. And between these two, we have 1W. And so that's how we did this in class. And by the way, when we multiply here, all of this here is from lesson 7.3. So this is a pretty big lesson on multiplying polynomials. Again, I was just solving this one using either distributive property or like the modified box method. We get the same answer for D. I'm going to look down below, and we have, I'm going to do all three of these. All three of these problems. So it says, I can multiply polynomials of degree 1 and degree 2. Use the graphic organizer to find the product of, we're going to do x minus 7 here, and then x plus 2 here. Now most of you prefer this box method, so that's x times x is x squared, and then x times a negative 7 is negative 7x, and then 2 times x is 2x, you can put a plus here if you want to, and then 2 times negative 7 is a negative 14. And then I'm going to kind of group what I can here that are like terms. Well, the x squared doesn't have a like term, but we can look at these two values. And if you want to write those down, you can. You can do plus 2x minus 7x, and then this guy here is a minus 14. But again, these guys are the only ones that can combine. And if you have a hard time with the mental math here, I would use Desmos. But 2x minus 7x is a negative 5x, and then we have a negative 14. And that'd be the area here. And we did this in most of our classes. Number 8, though, I'm going to use the FOIL method. If you want to, you can use the box method and use the box. But some people prefer the FOIL method, and so I think it's only fair that I do one of these problems using the FOIL method. So the FOIL method is the first two terms. So that's the 2x times 3x. That is 6x squared. The O, or the outer two, 2x times negative 6. Well, 2x times negative 6 is negative 12x. The I are the inner two, so that would be negative 3 times 3x is negative 9x. And then the last is the L, so the last two would be a negative 3 times a negative 6. That's a positive 18. And from here, again, the middle two terms will group up. So we'll have 6x squared. Negative 12x minus 9x is a negative 21x. And then we get plus 18. And so that would be the answer to number 8. Now number 9, this gets a little tricky if you do the FOIL method. This one here, we're going to have 6 terms because it's going to be 2 terms times 3 terms. And it gets a little busy here. So I actually, on these kinds of problems, I like to use the box method because to me, this is just a lot to kind of take in. I might have made the box a little too big here, but I'd rather be too big than too small. So I'm going to put my my m and my plus 8 on this side. I'll do my 4m squared, my negative 5m, and my plus 1 here. And we're going to multiply m times 4m squared. And when I multiply m by these terms here, the m value is just going to get one value bigger. So the number's not going to change here because it's like a 1m. So when we multiply these two, we get 4m cubed. M times negative 5m is just negative 5m squared. Then m times 1 is just plus m. I'll do a 1m. Typically I wouldn't do that, but I think it's going to be helpful in this problem. Is leave the 1. Now here, the only thing that's going to change are the constants, or the coefficients, right? The numbers. The m squared is going to stay the same. The m is going to stay the same. No m here. So 8 times 4 is 32m squared. So 8 times 4m squared is 32m squared. 8 times negative 5m is a negative 40m. And then 8 times 1 is just 8. And so I'll write all these out, but I want to focus on the fact that the diagonal terms here are going to be like terms, and those can be grouped up. I'm going to write this down on the right side, because I don't want to run out of space here. So I have 4m cubed. I'm just going to do the math here. 32 minus 5 is a positive 27m squared. Negative 40 plus 1m, this ends up being a negative 39m. And then we get a plus 8 here at the very end. Now, you might want to do an extra step here by writing in both these terms instead of finishing it up. But for this as a video, you can rewind it if you need to. But this would be how you do this problem here. So I'm going to keep going. I like to go until my videos are about 15 minutes long. And so I'm going to keep going here. So I'm going to look at problem 10 and 11. On 10, I'm just going to show you how to kind of get this started. I'm not going to solve the whole thing out. I think you'll get the idea. And then 11 is a really important one. I would start number 11. You're going to want to know this one for the test. So it says 3 students multiplied binomials as shown. Which students multiplied correctly? I'm going to just do Haley, because Haley has enough space for me to do the math here. Arun, you might need to do it over here, but I'm going to kind of skip that one for now. So we have 3 students who multiplied binomials as shown, and some of them did this portion incorrectly. And we're looking for the ones that did the right side correctly, and that'll be in our answer choices. So if I look at Haley here, they want to know, and you can do the box method, you can use the FOIL method. Sure, I'll do the box method because most of you prefer the box method. So I will do x plus 8, and then I'll do x plus 3, or 3, so there you go. So x times x is x squared, x times 8 is 8x, 3 times x is 3x, and then 3 times 8 is 24. And if you want to, put a positive here. These are all positives. And so if I look at Haley, she has an x squared, so that checks out. She has an 11x. Well, if I add these two, that gets me an 11x, which is good, and she has a plus 24. So all 3 of these check out, so she did this correctly. So it can't be Arun only, because Haley did it correctly. And so we know Haley did it correctly, so B's eliminated, because we know Haley did it correctly. It's not just Arun and Phoenix. And so it's going to be between C and D at this point. And so if I were you, again, the next one that you figure out will tell you the answer, because if Phoenix is correct, well, maybe it won't. If Phoenix is correct, it'll could still be both of these. So I don't know. I guess I'd do Arun first. Do Arun first, and I might be able to tell you what's going on here. But anyways, that's how you do number 10. Just do a little bit of extra math here, and you figure it out. Now 11 is really important. It says the diagram shows the floor plan of a warehouse. I see this problem a lot on the STAR test. You'll see a problem like this on this upcoming test here later this week as well. So we have a warehouse. It says all dimensions are in feet. That doesn't matter here. It's not going to matter. And what is the area? That's what matters. What is the area of the warehouse in square feet? So to find area is length times width when we're talking about rectangles. So one of these is going to be the length, and one of these is going to be the width. And it doesn't matter, because whenever we multiply length times width, it doesn't matter the order, you'll get the same answer. So we're given the dimensions here, but it's our job to find the area. So lo and behold, I'm going to write this out. So area equals length times width. The length we'll say is a 2x minus 7. We're going to group that in parentheses because this is a polynomial. And then the length is going to be 3x plus 1. So you can do the FOIL method, you can do the box method, it's whatever you want to do. I'm going to do the FOIL method because I've done a lot of the box method. So if I do the FOIL method, the first 2 that multiply are the 2x times 3x, which is 6x squared. So FOIL, F-O-I-L, the O are the outer 2. So what's 2x times 1? Well, that's just a positive 2x. The I are the inner 2. So that'd be a negative 7 times 3x, which is a negative 21x. And then the L are the last 2. Negative 7 times 1 is a negative 7. And so just like always when we FOIL this, the middle 2 tend to be the ones that combine. So the 6x squared stays 6x squared. 2x minus 21x. If you need Desmos, use it, but it's a negative 19x. Sorry, I've got a cold right now. And then I put negative 7 here as the last term, and this would be the area of this warehouse. So hopefully that helps you out. I did quite a few problems from 1 through 11, and I'm going to call quits on this video because we're getting close to 15 minutes. So there will be more, so please look at the other ones if you have any questions. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.